This story begins with a memory of shame. That morning, Iris did not want to go to the auction. Margaret had insisted. An old school friend, well-meaning, curious about everything. "Come, we'll just look around. Maybe we'll find something nice." Iris went, because staying at home would have felt the same. The auction house was in Mayfair. Small, dim, old. When they stepped inside, the room was beginning to fill. 10, 15 people, looking at paintings. Iris walked behind Margaret. She glanced at the paintings, moved on. When she reached the corner, she stopped. She felt something first. She couldn't name it. A strange feeling. Familiar, but not something that should have been familiar. Then she looked, and she saw. It was a large portrait, oil painting, gilded frame. A woman, dark-haired, her gaze distant, something unfinished on her lips. Iris looked at that face. It was her own. The world stopped. No, the world continued. People were walking, talking, looking at paintings. Everything went on. Only Iris had stopped. Iris. Margaret was beside her. Her voice sounded strange, low, startled. "Isn't that you?" Iris couldn't answer, because the answer was obvious. Yes, it was me, at 18. My mother had commissioned it. It had taken 3 months. Every detail had been chosen by my mother. And now it was here, in an auction hall. The auctioneer stepped up to the podium. He had a list in his hand. He was reading, a brief description of each painting, where it had come from. He came to that portrait. Portrait, oil on canvas, signed, from the Weld family, brought in this morning. Starting price. Iris did not hear the rest. From the Weld family. This morning. This morning. Her father had brought it in that very morning. People around her turned. Not all of them, but some. Iris saw Margaret's face, that stunned, uncertain expression, and other faces. Familiar, half familiar. Whispers began. Low, careful. But they began. "Isn't that the Weld girl? Her father, gambling." Iris heard them. She heard everything. What was inside her in that moment? Everything. There was anger at her father, at this room, at these people. There was shame, that hot, flushing, sinking kind of shame. And deeper, much deeper, there was that old pain. Her mother's face, her mother's hands, her mother saying, "Sit, and one day look and remember." Now everyone was looking, but for the wrong reason. £5. 10. The auction had begun. Iris stood there. She couldn't move. Margaret took her hand. "Iris, let's go." Iris couldn't leave, because she wanted to go, but her feet would not move. Because she did not want to leave that portrait. She did not want to watch it being sold, but she could not look away either. 20, 25. Then she saw the man. He was coming from the other side of the room. In his 30s, dressed in dark clothing, looking around, examining the paintings. He had clearly come for something else. He was not heading straight for that corner. He was looking elsewhere. Then he stopped. He looked at the portrait. Iris watched him. The man stepped closer to the portrait. Stopped. He looked at that face for a long time, carefully, differently. Not like a buyer. Differently. The auctioneer continued. 30. The man raised his hand. £50. The room fell silent. It was a large amount. Very large. No one challenged it. £50. Once, twice, sold. The man turned, and in that moment, that exact moment, his eyes met Iris's. Iris froze. He stopped as well. 1 second. Just 1 second. The man looked at Iris, at the face in the portrait, back to Iris, and he understood. It showed on his face, very briefly, almost imperceptibly. But he understood. That portrait was Iris's face. Iris had come there with that face, and now that portrait was in his hands. The man turned away. He went to the auctioneer, paid, took the portrait. He walked toward the door. As he passed, he looked at Iris once more. Iris looked at him. Then he left. The door closed. Iris remained there. Her hands were empty. Around her, people were still whispering. Margaret was beside her, saying something Iris could not hear. She looked at the empty corner, at the place where the portrait had been. Now, there was only a wall. Margaret took her arm. "Let's go. Iris, let's go." This time, her feet moved. They stepped outside. The air was cold. Iris took a deep breath. "Who was that man?" Margaret asked. Iris didn't know, but she would find out. "I don't know," she said. "What will you do?" Iris paused for a second. She remembered those eyes. That single second. He had understood who Iris was, and still, he had bought it. Why? We'll take a very short break. If you don't want to miss new stories, please subscribe to the channel. "I'll find him," Iris said. Her voice was steady. It did not tremble. It did not break. Inside, it was something else. But no one could see that. She did not go home. Not directly. Because if she went home, she would face her father. And if she faced her father, if she saw that face, those hands, if she heard that "I'm sorry, my daughter," she would cry. Iris did not want to cry. Not yet. Margaret followed her. "Iris, wait, where are you going?" "Home." "You look pale. Let's go somewhere first. Have a coffee. Sit down. I'm fine." "Iris." "I'm fine, Margaret." "Wait, stop. Sit." She didn't want that. She wanted to do something. She wanted to find that man. The others from the auction had gone home. The auctioneer was still there, busy with another painting. "That man," Iris said. "Just now. He paid £50. Who is he?" The auctioneer looked at her. "That? Who?" The auctioneer looked at Iris's face. He saw something there. "The Duke of Dunmore," he said. "Philip Crane." Philip Crane. Iris knew the name. Everyone did. The man who appeared at every gathering in London, known in artistic circles, someone who understood poetry and auctions alike. He had a residence in Belgravia. Iris walked. She walked for 20 minutes. What passed through her during those 20 minutes? Everything. That room. Those whispers. The moment the portrait was sold. The man's hand holding it. That look. The one when he turned as he left. She knocked on the door of the residence. Hard. Once. A servant opened. Young, surprised. "Ma'am, I want to see Duke Crane." "Do you have an appointment?" "No. The Weld family. The matter of the portrait." "Tell him." The servant went inside. Iris waited at the door. Her hands were clenched into fists. She did not notice. The door opened. Philip Crane stepped out. Iris saw him, just as she remembered from the auction hall. Tall, dressed in dark clothing. He was smiling, that ready, social smile. But when he saw Iris, the smile changed. It did not freeze. It simply changed, became more careful. "The Weld family," he said. "Please, come in." "No." Philip stopped. Iris spoke. "That portrait at the auction was mine." "I know. You know." Iris stepped forward. "You know. And you bought it. In front of everyone. Everyone was watching. Everyone was whispering. The Weld girl, her father's gambling debts. Look at her. And you stood there, raising your hand, saying 50 pounds. Philip said nothing. It belonged to my mother. Her voice was rising. She wanted to control it, but this time it rose anyway. My mother commissioned it. She died. That portrait is what remains of her. She stopped, continued. Who do you think you are? What right do you have? Does paying money make everything yours? Philip was still silent. Give it to me. Give it to me now. Philip did not speak. He looked at Iris, with those eyes that saw everything, measured everything. And Iris saw something in that gaze. There was no defense, no apology. He was simply listening, truly listening. That made Iris angrier, because if the other person shouted back, it would have been easier. But this man was silent, and that silence was bringing everything inside Iris to the surface. Why aren't you saying anything? She said. Philip waited. Then, because you're right. Iris froze. What? You're right. His voice was steady. It happened in front of everyone at that auction. And you found out there, in that room, among all those people. He paused. That was very bad. I know how it must have felt. Iris could not speak. I'm sorry. Silence. A long, strange, heavy silence. Heavier because it was unexpected. Iris had not expected an apology. She had expected a defense. It was a legal auction. I paid for it. It's mine. That was what she had expected. But an apology had come. And that apology did not stop the storm inside Iris. But it changed something. She breathed. For the first time since that door, she truly breathed. Then Philip continued, but I won't give you the portrait. Iris looked at him. What? I won't give it to you. Plain, clear, without apology. I just apologized. They are two different things. Iris stepped forward. That is my portrait. I know. Then, I know, Miss Iris. Philip turned. He walked inside. Come. Iris stepped in. Because what else could she do? The room was large. Iris did not look around. Philip stopped, looked at the wall. The portrait was there. It had just been hung. Clearly the nail was new, slightly crooked. Philip had seen it and hung it the same day. Iris looked at the portrait, at her own face. Who is the painter? Philip asked. Iris turned. What? The painter who made that portrait. Who is it? Why are you asking? Because he did good work. Philip looked at the portrait. Capturing that expression is difficult. Which expression? Philip turned, looked at Iris. The anger, and the sadness beneath it. He paused. Most painters choose one. You rarely see both at the same time. Iris said nothing. Philip continued. I had gone to the auction that morning for another painting. As I passed the corner, I saw that portrait. I stopped. He paused. I couldn't leave it. That is absurd. Philip smiled. I know, but it's true. Iris looked at the portrait for a long time. She looked at that face, that 18-year-old face. She had been very unhappy that day. Her mother's illness had worsened. She had not wanted to go to the painter's studio, but her mother had insisted. That unhappiness had shown on her face. The painter had captured it. And this man, this stranger, had seen that face in the auction hall and had not been able to let it go. Give it to me, Iris said. Her voice had changed. The anger had faded. Exhaustion had taken its place. No. Why? Philip looked at the portrait. Because the painter captured something. He turned, and I can't let it go. Silence. Iris almost spoke. It rose to her lips. This is absurd. This is childish. But she didn't. Because she was tired. Because she had been on her feet since that morning. Because the energy she had spent shouting in that hall was gone. She turned, walked to the door. She did not slam it. She closed it. Slowly, quietly, because she had no strength left. She stood outside. The cold air hit her face. Philip Crane, the Duke of Dunmore, a man who understood poetry and auctions, who looked at things with a painter's eye, who said, "I can't let it go." He had apologized, and still, he had not given it back, because the painter had captured something. Iris walked. There was something inside her. She did not want to name it, but it was there. London spoke quickly. There had been 15 people in that auction hall. 15 people meant 15 families. 15 families meant half of London. 2 days had not even passed. Margaret came in the morning. She knocked. Iris opened the door. There was that look on Margaret's face. Well-meaning, worried, unsure what to say. "I heard," she said. "I mean, everyone heard." "I know. The Hartley's invitation is tonight. You're not going, are you?" Iris paused. Margaret continued. "It would be better if you didn't. People, I'm going." "Iris, if I don't go, they'll talk more." Iris looked straight ahead. "I'm going." That evening she got ready. She looked in the mirror. Her best dress. Hair in place. Everything as it should be. She looked at her face. She thought of the face in the portrait. Anger. And the sadness beneath it. Now there was only exhaustion. But no one could see that. The Hartley residence was full. When Iris stepped inside, she felt it. It was physical. A tension in the air. A shift. A few heads turned. Then the gazes moved away. Then the whispers began. Iris walked. Straight. Calm. Every step in place. Inside, she was burning. The first half hour could be endured. She spoke with acquaintances. Briefly. Politely. Everyone was trying to act normal, which made it harder. To know that behind that normality, there were whispers. Then Lady Pemberton approached. In her 60s, wide hat, gentle voice. She took Iris's hand. "My dear Iris." Her voice was soft. "I'm so sorry. Truly. It must be very difficult. Your father's situation. That auction." She shook her head. "You are strong. You've always been strong." Iris smiled. "Thank you," she said. Lady Pemberton moved on. Iris held that smile. No one could see what was inside. Because pity, that sweet, soft, "I'm so sorry, my dear" kind of pity, was harder than anger. You could resist anger. Resisting pity was something else, because pity meant you are weak. Politely, gently, elegantly, but it meant it. Iris was not weak, but right now, she could not prove that to anyone. On the other side of the room, there was a group of men. Philip was there. Iris had not seen him before. Now she did. 2 or 3 others stood with him. They were talking. Then one of them, older, laughing, wine glass in hand, turned to Philip. "You bought that portrait, didn't you?" he said with a laugh. "The Weld girl's portrait, at the auction." The others laughed too. "Why did you buy it? What use is it to you?" It was a joke, but it wasn't. Philip turned. He looked at him. That look, not cold, not harsh, just steady. "Because it was valuable," he said. They fell silent. Philip said nothing more. He took his glass, turned away. Iris had heard it. She had not seen it. There were people between them, but she had heard it. Because it was valuable. 4 words. Simple. Short. But those 4 words were different from every "I'm so sorry, my dear," in that room. As the evening went on, the room began to thin. Iris had stepped aside into a corner. She was tired. She wanted to go home. She would wait 5 more minutes. "Are you all right?" She turned. Philip was there. This was not social. There was no ready smile. He was simply standing there, simply asking. "I'm fine," Iris said. "A lie." Iris froze. No one said that. A lie. Plain, unquestioned. No one responded to, "Are you all right?" with lie. They would move on, or speak, or say something else. This man said lie. "How?" she began. "I counted 15 smiles from you tonight," Philip said. "Not one of them reached your eyes." Iris could not speak. "And when Lady Pemberton offered her condolences, you swallowed. Very quickly, no one noticed." He paused. "I did." Silence. Iris felt something inside. Discomfort, or something else. This man had been watching her. Counting. 15 smiles. "Why are you counting?" she said. Philip looked at her. "A habit. Sometimes I look at people the way I look at paintings. I am not a painting." "I know." He paused. "You're more difficult." Iris was about to respond. She stopped. In the far corner of the room, there was a man. Unfamiliar. Broad-shouldered. Short. He was looking at Iris. But not like the man at the auction. In another way. Something tightened inside Iris. She knew that look. The man approached. Iris glanced around. People were there, talking. No one was looking at them. The man came close. Too close. He spoke in a low voice. "Miss Weld." His voice was pleasant. That made it worse. "Give my regards to your father. The money should be ready next week. We're looking forward to it." Iris froze. Here, at this gathering, among these people. "Do you understand?" the man said. "She does." Philip's voice. The man turned. Philip was there. Iris had not heard him approach. Philip looked at the man. That steady, calm look. "I know this lady," he said. His voice was low. No one else could hear. "And this conversation is over." The man looked at Philip, from head to toe. Philip looked back. Not upward, not downward. Level. Equal. A second passed. The man turned. Walked away. Left. Philip turned to Iris. Iris looked at him. There were 2 things inside her. Exactly 2. The first was gratitude. Genuine, real, undeniable. The second was anger. Just as real, just as undeniable. He had seen. He had seen everything, in front of everyone. And now he would know. And tomorrow he would tell someone else. And the day after, everyone would know. She had neither, because they could not come out at the same time. Philip waited. Iris looked at him. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was flat. Cold. Philip inclined his head. "You're welcome." Iris turned. She was about to leave. "Miss Iris." She stopped. Did not turn. "If that man comes again..." Philip paused. "Tell me." Iris waited for a second. "I won't," she said. And she left. Outside, the cold air hit her face. Her carriage was waiting. She got in. As she left, she looked out the window. People were leaving the house. Laughing, talking, living that soft, polished society life. Inside, Iris still carried those 2 feelings. Gratitude and anger. Which one was heavier? She didn't know. But that man, the one who said I counted 15 smiles, the one who said lie, the one who looked at that man without flinching. She could not get him out of her mind. By the time she arrived home, it was late. She opened the door. It was dark inside, a single candle burning from the kitchen. Iris took off her coat, hung it. She did not want to go to the kitchen, but she went. Her father was there, sitting at the table, a cup of tea in front of him, gone cold. His hands on the table, unmoving, his head slightly bowed. When he saw Iris, he tried to stand. "Sit," Iris said. He sat. Iris did not go to the table. She stood by the door. Still holding her shawl, she had not taken it off. She had not noticed. She waited. Her father had to speak. Iris had nothing to say, or she had too much, but she could not begin. She would listen first. George spoke, slowly, trembling. "That night," he said, "the men came to the door. There were 3 of them." He paused, clasped his hands. "They asked for money. All of it. That night." Iris listened. "I gathered everything in the house. The silver. The small jewelry left from your mother." His voice faltered. "It wasn't enough. Not nearly enough." Iris said nothing. They were inside, waiting. George closed his eyes. "I went into the drawing room. I looked at the wall." Silence. "I thought of you." His voice trembled. "I thought nothing must happen to you. If those men stayed, if they waited until morning, you would come home. And those men..." Something tightened inside Iris. "I took the portrait." The room was silent. George continued. "I took it. I gave it to them." His hands were shaking. They agreed. They left. Iris was still standing at the door, still holding her shawl. George lifted his head, looked at Iris. Those eyes, tired, broken, ashamed. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know it's not enough. I know." He stopped. His throat tightened. Iris waited. "May your mother forgive me." The words came. 4 words. "May your mother forgive me." Something happened inside Iris. Suddenly, unexpectedly, because her mother would not forgive him. Iris knew that. She knew her mother, that strict, proud woman who had said no one touches the portrait I commissioned. She had spent 3 months on it, chosen every detail, told the painter, "Capture everything in my daughter's face, not the good day, the truth." The painter had captured it, and now that portrait was on someone else's wall. Her mother would not forgive him. Iris's eyes filled with tears. She did not want that. She tried to hold them back. But that sentence, that "may your mother forgive me," had broken something. The thing she had been holding together for 2 days. The auction hall came back to her. That empty corner. Seeing her own face. The whispers. Philip Crane. Because it was valuable. "Lady Pemberton. I'm so sorry, my dear. That man. The money should be ready next week." And her father. In the kitchen. With his cold tea. "May your mother forgive me," she cried. Not quietly. Not in that controlled way. The kind she never let anyone see. She truly cried. Her shawl slipped from her hands. She covered her face. George stood up. Slowly, like an old man rising. Every movement was heavy. He went to his daughter. Stopped. Then he held her. Iris leaned into her father. When had that last happened? At her mother's funeral? Before that? She could not remember. Her father was trembling. Or perhaps Iris was trembling. Perhaps both of them were. The kitchen was silent. The candle flickered. They stayed like that for a long time. Iris cried. Her father held her. There was nothing else. No apology, no explanation, no words. Only that moment. Then, slowly it passed. She took a breath. Once. Twice. She stepped away from her father, wiped her eyes. George looked at her, with those broken eyes. "I will stop," he said. His voice was hoarse. "The gambling. I'll stop." Iris looked at him. How many times had he said that? How many times had he promised? And how many times had he started again? "I know," Iris said. She did not believe him, but she said it. Because he was her father, morning came. Iris had not slept. She had sat at the table, waiting until the candle burned out, then lit another one. Her father had gone to his room. Iris had sent him, told him to sleep. He had gone. He had slept. Iris had been left alone. And she had thought. 2 days. What had happened in 2 days? The auction. Philip Crane. The storm at the door. The party. That man. And now her father. Iris felt something inside her. New. Clear. Something that had never been this clear before. She could not carry it anymore. Not alone. That weight, her father, the debt, the danger, all of it, was too much. She had carried it for years. She knew how she had carried it. But now something had changed. What had changed? She did not fully know. But in the candlelight, in those early morning hours, sitting there alone, Philip Crane's face came to mind. I counted 15 smiles. A lie, because it was valuable. Iris closed her eyes. This man had watched her, seen her, and said it plainly, without dressing it up. No one had ever done that. She rose, washed her face with cold water, held her face under it for a long time. Then she looked in the mirror. That face. It was not the face in the portrait anymore. It was more tired, heavier. But it was still standing. Iris made a decision inside herself. She did not name that decision, but she made it. That morning, Philip rose early. There was a name in his mind. From one of London's darker circles, the employer of the man who had cornered Iris at that gathering. Philip knew who he was. He had been in London for years. He knew those names. But he had never had business with such people before. Now he did. He found him in one of those clubs, before noon. At a corner table, alone, reading a newspaper. Philip sat down across from him. The man lowered the paper, looked at him. Surprise showed, only for a second. The Duke of Dunmore did not come to places like this. "The Weld debt," Philip said. "Let's talk." They talked. Philip spoke plainly. He did not dress it up, did not prolong it. He wanted a 1-year delay. In return, he would pay part of the debt in advance, out of his own pocket. The man looked at him, calculated. "Why?" he asked. "What business do you have with the Weld family?" Philip waited. "That does not concern you." The man laughed. "All right." They came to an agreement. That same day, word reached Iris. A small note from the man's employer. Brief, formal. "The Weld debt has been postponed for 1 year. For now, there is no need to meet." Iris read the note. Once, twice. Set it on the table. Looked at it. Then she understood. How did she understand? It was simple. At that gathering, Philip had stepped in. He knew that man, and now the debt had been delayed for a year, just like that, on its own, without anyone asking. Philip had done it. What did Iris feel inside? The first second, relief. Small, sudden, instinctive. Immediately after, anger. Large, burning, far larger than that relief. Because she had not wanted this. Because she had not asked for it. Because now she owed him, not in money, but she owed him. And that was the hardest thing for Iris. To owe anyone. She stood up, took her shawl, closed the door behind her. She knocked on the door of the residence. This time it was different. Not like her first visit. That day there had been anger. Pure anger. This time it was complicated. This time there was more than one thing inside her. The servant opened. "Ma'am." "Duke Crane, tell him." Philip was waiting in the drawing room. He turned when she entered. When he saw Iris, something crossed his face. Surprise, perhaps, or pleasure, or both at once. Iris could not tell. "Why did you do it?" Iris asked. Plainly, standing at the door. She had not stepped fully inside. Philip waited. "Do what?" "The debt. You know what." "That debt?" "Yes." Philip took a step forward. "Because those men were dangerous. That was my affair." "I know." "Then why did you interfere?" Philip stopped. Iris waited. She thought she knew the answer, or thought she did. "I wanted to help. I meant well. I wanted to protect you." That was what she expected. Philip spoke. "I saw you at the auction," he said, "in the middle of that room, standing before your own portrait, with everyone looking at you. And you stood straight. But you were trembling." Iris said nothing. "I saw you at that gathering, 15 smiles. None of them were real." He paused. "I saw you there, when that man approached you. Your face did not change, but your hands did." Iris looked at her hands, without realizing it. "Every time you are alone," Philip said, "and every time it looks heavier." Silence. "And?" Iris said. Her voice was flat. "You saw those things, and?" Philip looked at her. "I saw the face in the portrait." His voice lowered. The painter had captured something. Anger, sadness, both at once. I could not let it go. Then I saw you. He paused, and the feeling did not go away. Iris froze. The feeling did not go away. 4 words. It was absurd. She knew it. A man buys her portrait. She comes to his house. He pays her debt. And then he says the feeling did not go away. "This is absurd," she said. "I know. You do not even know me. I know. You saw me at the auction. We have spoken twice. This, I know, Iris." Philip looked at her steadily. "But it is true." Silence. Long, full, belonging to both of them. Iris tried to hold on to that anger inside her, but beneath that anger, very deep, very quiet, there was something else. That morning, in the candlelight, sitting there alone. Philip Crane's face had come to her mind. Why had it come? Philip turned, went to the wall, took down the portrait, carefully, slowly, held it, turned back to Iris. He held it out. "Take it." Iris did not look at the portrait. She looked at Philip. "Why now?" Philip waited for a second. "Because only the wrong reason remained for keeping it." "What does that mean?" Philip looked at her, that steady look, the one that hid nothing. "At first, I was keeping that portrait," he said, "because I could not let it go. I could not let go of that face. Then I saw you, and I kept holding on to it. But this time for another reason." He paused. "Now I understand that reason was wrong. You cannot keep a person by keeping their portrait." Something happened inside Iris. She did not want to name it. She took the portrait. Were her hands trembling? They were. Slightly. Very slightly. Almost too little to notice. But they were trembling. Philip saw it. He said nothing. Iris held the portrait. She held that frame. That gilded frame. The one her mother had chosen, worked over for 3 months, touched with her own hands. It had come back, but nothing was the same anymore. Iris felt that. She turned, walked to the door. Philip did not speak after her. Iris reached the door, stopped. She did not turn back, but she stopped. "For paying the debt," she said, her voice low. "I will not thank you." Silence. "I know," said Philip. "But," Iris said, "I will not say anything cruel either." She opened the door, left. She stood in the street, holding the portrait, with both hands. That feeling inside her, the one she did not want to name, was larger this time, clearer, more dangerous. Iris walked toward home, and there was only one thing in her mind. You cannot keep a person by keeping their portrait. He had let it go. But was Iris really leaving? That night when she returned home, her father was asleep. The house was silent. Iris stepped inside, took off her coat. She was still holding the portrait. She went into the drawing room, looked at that empty wall, at the trace of dust, the faded mark, the imprint left by something that had stood there for years. She hung the portrait, carefully, slowly, in exactly the right place. Then she stepped back, looked. The portrait had settled into its place, as if it had never left, as if that auction had never happened, that haul had never happened, those whispers had never happened. But they had, and Iris stood there now, looking at the same wall, the same portrait, yet she was no longer the same woman. She thought of her mother, those hands, that voice. Go, sit, and one day look and remember. She had remembered. But was this what her mother had meant? To remember it like this, in an auction hall, in front of everyone, through her own shame? No, her mother had wanted something else. She did not know exactly what. But it was not this. She thought of her father, that man in the kitchen, trembling, crying, saying, "May your mother forgive me." He was a good man, a weak man, both at once. Iris loved him. She always had. But she could no longer carry him alone. She thought of Philip, at the auction, at the gathering, in the street, everywhere, and yet never forcing, never pressing. I counted 15 smiles. A lie. You cannot keep a person by keeping their portrait. And he had let it go. But Iris had not left. When she woke the next morning, she had decided. She had slept that night. Not much, but she had slept. And when she opened her eyes in the morning, the decision was there. Clear, quiet, questionable. She rose, washed her face, went downstairs. Her father was not yet awake. Iris took her shawl, closed the door behind her. She knocked on the door of Philip's residence. It was early morning. The servant opened, surprised. Of course, surprised. "His Grace the Duke, is he here?" "Yes, but tell him." Philip came into the drawing room. He was still in his morning clothes, not fully dressed yet. When he saw Iris, he stopped. He was surprised, truly surprised. That man who was always controlled, always prepared. This time, he was surprised. Iris looked at him. "Yesterday, you paid my debt," she said. "Yes." "You gave me the portrait." "Yes." "And you said the feeling did not go away." Philip waited. 1 second passed. 2 seconds. Iris stepped inside. She closed the door. "Then let's talk," she said. They talked. This time it was different. The first time Iris had shouted. The second time she had been angry. The third time she had refused to thank him. But this time, this morning, Iris spoke, truly spoke, about her mother, about what the portrait meant, about her father, a good man, a weak man, a man she loved, about the years, about carrying it all, and about that decision. I cannot carry it alone anymore. Philip listened. He did not interrupt. He did not guide. He simply listened. And as Iris spoke, she realized something. For the first time, this man was truly listening to her. Not social courtesy, not curiosity. Truly. When she finished, there was silence. Philip looked at her. "Why did you come?" he asked. "Today. Why, truly?" Iris thought. She wanted to answer honestly. "Because," she said, "yesterday you gave me the portrait. You let go." She paused. "And I did not leave." Philip waited. "That says something," Iris said. "To me, about myself." "What does it say?" Iris looked at him. "I do not know yet," she said, "but I want to find out." Philip stood, went to the window, looked outside. London was waking. Voices, carriages, that familiar noise. "Then let me say something too," he said, without turning. "When I saw that portrait at the auction, my first thought was this. I know that face. I did not know it. I had never seen you before, but that face felt familiar." He paused. "Then I saw you, and I understood why it felt familiar." "Why?" Philip turned. "Because I know what is in that face too." He looked at her. Carrying things alone, letting no one see. Smiling and moving on. Iris froze. That was not something she had expected. "You too?" she said. "Me too." Brief. Plain. For different reasons, but the same feeling. Silence. Long. Full. And this time full in a different way. They were no longer strangers. Perhaps they had never truly been strangers. "I owe you," Iris said. "No. The money you paid. You owe me nothing." Philip looked at her steadily. "If you had wanted to settle it as money, you would have. But I did it without asking. That was my choice." He paused. "There is no price attached to it." Iris looked at him. "Why?" she said. "Why truly?" Philip thought. He thought for a long time. "Because," he said at last, "in that auction hall, you were standing straight. Everyone was looking at you. Everyone was whispering. Your portrait was being sold. And you were standing straight." He paused. "No one saw that. I did." Iris closed her eyes. For 1 second. Then opened them. "It is hard to trust," she said. "For me. I know. It may take a long time." "I have time." Iris looked at him. At that face, without the social mask, without the always ready expression, this early in the morning, unprepared. And she saw it. Whatever she had seen in her own face in the portrait, anger, pride, sadness, all at once, it was in this face too, in a different form. But it was there. A painter could have painted him too. That morning, they spoke for a long time. Noon came. They were still talking. Philip said something to the servant. Food was brought. Simple food. Iris looked at the table, then at Philip. "You did not plan this," she said. "No." "Then why?" "Because I did not want you to leave." Philip looked at her steadily. "And you did not tell me to ask you to stay." Iris said nothing, but that small smile came. That almost imperceptible smile, the one that belonged only to her. This time, it reached her eyes. Philip saw it. When he had counted 15 of them, none of them had. The matter of her father was not solved. Not in 1 year, not in 2. Addiction did not end that way. George had good days. He had bad days. He made promises. Sometimes he kept them. Sometimes he did not. And Iris carried it, each time. But she was no longer carrying it alone. Philip was there. Philip, who was there without asking, who stayed without pressing, who said, "I have time." On a bad day, Iris spoke. Philip listened. Sometimes. That was enough. At the end of that year, the portrait was moved to Dunmore House, at Iris's request. Philip had been surprised. Here. Iris looked at the portrait. That portrait carried too much in that house. Let it come here. Let it be lighter. Philip said nothing, but his eyes did. They hung it on the wall opposite the staircase, where it would be the first thing one saw on entering. That day, Iris stood before the portrait for a long time. She looked at the face of her 18-year-old self. She thought of her mother. Go, sit, and one day look and remember. She had looked. She had remembered. Philip came to stand beside her. The two of them looked at the portrait, silently, for a long time. Then Philip spoke. "Do you know why I stopped at that auction?" Iris looked at him. "Why?" "Because that face held everything." Philip looked at the portrait. Anger, pride, sadness, all at once. The painter had captured it. He paused. I could not let it go. Iris looked at the portrait. "I was very unhappy that day," she said. Philip turned, not to the portrait, to her, to the face she had now, the face the years had shaped, changed, strengthened. "I know," he said, "and yet it was still beautiful." Iris said nothing. That small smile came again, that almost imperceptible smile, the one that was hers, the one that reached her eyes. Philip saw it. He always did. They were married, at the end of that year. Small, quiet, only with real people there. George was there. It was one of his good days. Iris wore white. Philip looked at her. More beautiful than the face in the portrait, he thought. He did not say it. He did not need to. Iris saw it. Years passed. Dunmore House changed. By Iris's hand, books came. Flowers came. Voices came. Philip looked one day and thought, this house is alive now. Iris looked and thought, this house is mine now. Both of them were right. One evening, Philip was sitting in his study. Iris came in, 2 glasses in her hand. "What are you reading?" she asked. Philip closed the book. "Poetry." "Which one?" "Not your favorite poet." Iris laughed. "I do not like all of them anyway." "I know." Philip took his glass. "But when you argue about them, they become better." Iris sat down, beside him. "Nonsense," she said. "I know." Philip looked at her. "But it is true." One day, George came to visit. It was one of his good days. He sat with Philip. They talked. 2 men from very different worlds, but they had one thing in common. Iris. At one point, George looked at Philip. "Is my daughter happy?" he asked. Philip thought. "I ask her," he said. "I ask her every day." George laughed. "That is enough." The final scene, late one evening. The house was quiet. Iris and Philip were passing through the drawing room. The portrait was there, opposite the staircase. They passed it every day. That night, both of them stopped. They looked at that 18-year-old face, at the anger, the pride, the sadness. Philip turned to Iris. He was looking, not at the portrait, but at her, at the face she had now. "The painter did good work," he said. Iris looked at the portrait. But something is missing. What? Everything that came after. She turned and looked at Philip. The painter only saw that day. He could not see what came after. Philip looked at her. Is what came after more beautiful? Iris looked at him. For a long time. Yes, she said. Just that one word. But it was full. A father sold his daughter's portrait. For a gambling debt. A man bought that portrait. In an auction hall. He could not let it go. But that portrait, that angry, proud, sorrowful face, one day hung on the right wall, on the wall of the right house, beside the right man. It had come late, but it had come. And that was enough. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Let me know in the comments which city you're watching from, and share your thoughts about the story. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.